Welcome to Capitalize Your Finances, the podcast that's your ultimate guide to mastering personal finances and unlocking the secrets of entrepreneurship. Each week, we dive into the world of personal finance and business development and have fascinating conversations with industry experts, seasoned entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who share their insights, strategies, and stories to help you get ahead in life. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur looking to scale your business or someone just starting out on your financial path, this podcast is your go-to resource for inspiration and actionable insights.
Welcome back to Capitalize Your Finances. As always, I'm your host, Christopher A. Paniotu, certified financial planning professional, the Cap in Capitalize. And on today's episode, we are going to go over a topic that can be, well, it was near and dear to my heart early in my career. And I know it's affecting a lot of people right now on the fact that a lot of you out there, you can't save money. And before we get into the conversation of what you can do to change that, both from a black and white standpoint, as well as a mindset perspective, I want to give you the free advice for the week as always. And it is going to be quick because I want to get right into the meat of the episode. So the free advice for the week: it pays to tune out the noise. Now that you got that free advice out of the way, let's get into it because unfortunately, it doesn't really matter how you cut it. Things are more expensive now. And I get it. I've had a number of people reach out to me saying, hey, I'm doing everything in my power to save something. And there's got to be a way that I can save, and there's got to be something I'm just not seeing. So the first thing I want you to do, if you can't save money, is I want you to diagnose the problem. And there are a couple ways to go about it, but the first thing I would do, and some of this you most likely already know, but you need to hear it again, track every dollar that you're spending. And what I would do is for at least 30 days, write down, or you can use an app, but I'm more inclined for you to old school write it down because a lot of these apps, they're sometimes they miss a lot and or they're just very, very inaccurate. But for 30 days, write down to see where your money is actually going. And many of you are going to be shocked at how much slips away on just the small expenses that add up over time. And not only for 30 days, once you have a 30-day idea of what you're spending, I would go back 1 or 2 months and then average it out, because every month there's going to be some variability. Another way to diagnose the problem is separate your needs from your wants. And the needs are pretty obvious: your food, your rent, your utilities, anything that you just can't get, you can't get away from. Now, you've got subscriptions, you've got eating out, you've got impulse buys. For those of you that are addicted to Amazon, you know who you are. Those are the wants. And that is where you're going to be able to find some massive value to unlock some savings abilities. Another way to diagnose a problem is to simply ask, what can't I save? Or why can't I save? Excuse me. And there could be a number of reasons for that. Is your income too low? Are your expenses too high? Is it both? What can I do to better one or the other? And the second piece of advice is, in terms of what you need to do if you can't save money, is to reduce your expenses, even if it feels tight. And with housing, you can ask yourself, do I need or can I get a roommate? Do I move to a less expensive place? Do I refinance if I own a home or a condo or a townhouse? Housing is usually going to be the number one cost. And so that's the first place that I would look. Another one would be transportation. Maybe you have an expensive car that you don't really need. And so you need to downsize, not from the size, but from the expense side of things. Maybe you want to use public transit, or maybe you want to carpool or use a bike or walk. It's I know it might sound like it's a dire thing, but a lot of you will realize you don't need the expensive transportation that you already have. Another place to look is subscriptions and extras. And I would get very deep into auditing what you're paying for streaming, gym memberships, apps. I can almost guarantee you, but due to compliance, I can't guarantee this, but I can almost guarantee you that you will find anywhere between 50 to, I could see some of you finding a couple $100 a month that you free up that you otherwise don't need to spend because you're not even using a lot of this, a lot of these subscriptions that you're paying for. And then look at food. And if you're going out to eat, again, you've got to live, you got to have a good time. I don't want to say you only live once. I mean, I know that is literally true, but it's one of those things where if you're trying to save for a better future tomorrow, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And what does that mean for your food? You could cook more at home. You can meal prep. You can buy in bulk. Costco or Sam's Club could become your friend. Because eating out quietly drains hundreds of dollars a month. And I could argue even over $1,000 a month. I've seen even some of our clients that, generally they're doing fine financially, but I've looked at that and gone, dude, you're spending a ton per month just on food, and they get kind of embarrassed about it. But it's just good to know, even if you are able to save, you should still go through this practice. The third point of attack that I would look at is seeing how you can increase your income. If you work somewhere, you could ask for a raise, or you could take on overtime if that's a possibility. Side hustles, there's freelancing, tutoring, rideshare driving, selling unused items. I mean, there's a multitude of things you can do on the side. Now, those of you that have listened to this podcast for a while, you know my opinion on side hustles. And again, I need to reiterate, I am not completely against them. In fact, I'm not against them at all. I just think that more often than not, people are trying to build a side income or hustle, but they're missing out on the best return on investment, which is what you're already doing. So, if you're younger, look to reinvest into yourself. But again, if time is not on your side, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Now, skill upgrades. This is a huge one, regardless of where you're at in your career, but especially if you're younger. Sometimes investing in training will pay off more than cutting costs, because there's two ways to skin the cat when it comes to not being able to save money. And how do you go and save money? You can either cut your expenses or you can go and earn more money. And so by investing in this skill to upgrade yourself, whether it's continuing education, a designation, going back and maybe getting a certain degree, or accreditation. The point is, sometimes you need to take a step or two backwards to reinvest in yourself, to take an infinite amount of steps forward. And I'm telling you, even an extra $200 to $500 a month in terms of increasing your income, that can totally change your ability to save in a positive way. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Then when we come back, we're going to keep going down the rabbit hole on what you need to do if you can't save money. So don't go anywhere. Stick around.
Are you ready to transform the way you approach sales? This episode is sponsored by the second book in the Capitalize series, Capitalize Your Sales, the all-in-one sales framework that saves you from ever struggling again and teaches you how to sell with sincerity, which dives deep into the art and science of driving sustainable growth. Packed with strategies that go beyond surface-level techniques, this book will help you understand what it takes to truly connect with clients, build long-term relationships, and close deals. Whether you're looking to fine-tune your sales craft or break through to the next level, Capitalize Your Sales offers a roadmap to success designed for today's fast-paced business world. Head on over to your favorite bookstore, order today, and start capitalizing your sales immediately. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back from the commercial break. We're going to get right back into what you need to know if you can't save money. And the fourth thing I wanted to talk about is automating savings and paying yourself first. even if it is as little as $25 to $50 a month, automate it into a separate savings account. And it's one of those things, I have to keep reiterating this. Building up an emergency fund in a savings account, it is not fun. It is not sexy. It may not seem to be rewarding because this money is just sitting there. We've talked about where to house your savings in the past with the use of an online savings account to try to earn a slightly better yield than these brick and mortar savings accounts. However, the fact is, by automating that, it may not give you a huge rate of return in the literal sense, but from an emotional standpoint, it is going to be massive. And when you have more stability, more likely than not, you won't have the impulse to go and buy unnecessary things. You will be able to take a step back. Your health will be better because those that have more money on average are going to be healthier because they're just not stressed about it. And that will allow you to save up on expenses that otherwise you would be paying for stress-related things such as counseling, therapy. Let's say people dance with the devil a little bit and go out a little bit more. They go out more than they should. And if you're drinking and having a good time to forget your sorrows, that only will hurt you in the savings department. One thing I want to mention when it comes to automating savings and paying yourself first, treat savings like a bill you must pay. And it's just not an optional leftover. And I know that sounds a little weird because, again, savings isn't an expense, but by shifting your mindset into making your savings an expense, that's going to pay you dividends in the long run. And then once you start doing this on an automated basis, it's going to build momentum for you. And once you have your savings set aside, your emergency fund, then you can take that $25 or $50 or whatever you're saving into your savings account. And then you could do things like paying down debt or increasing your retirement plan contributions, things of that nature. Now, we talked about it already a little bit, but I just need to reiterate the fifth thing that I would do is build that cushion before investing. So even if it's a small emergency fund of $500 to $1,000, we've talked about in the past about having 3 to 6 months of emergency fund expenses before you go and put your money anywhere else. If for whatever reason that's just not in the cards, but you need some cushion and you need some form of a small win, get that $500 into your emergency fund and then look to invest that money elsewhere. And by building your emergency fund, that's going to prevent the credit card debt from blowing up when life happens. Speaking of that, if your credit card debt is the issue, and we're talking like the issue, there are a few things that you can do with that. And this will indirectly help you save more in the long run. You can consolidate your credit card debt and pay that off as soon as possible. You could cancel those credit cards once they're paid off, or you could consolidate just to one credit card. Those are a few options you can think about if you're drowning in credit card debt. And then the last thing is it's a mindset. You need to change your mindset when it comes to money, especially when you can't save. So instead of telling yourself, I can't save money, I can't do this, it becomes a cycle. Instead, flip the mindset and ask yourself, what's one small thing I can cut back on? Or what's one small win that I can save up for, whether it's paying off a credit card, emergency fund, things of that nature. Another thing you could think of on the flip side of just earning more money is what's one way I can earn an extra $20 this week or this month, or, if it's a year, $20 a year, like that you should be able to earn an extra $20 more per year. But just increase that and think big. And one thing that I did early in my career was I would set myself up, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound weird, but positively for failure. So I would set these huge goals that, looking back, I was frankly foolish in doing so, because I'm like, there was no way I would have hit this business goal or this revenue goal or whatever the case is in that period of time. But by pushing myself that hard, even though I didn't hit that goal in that period of time, I was much farther ahead as opposed to just setting a small goal and getting it easily. So in terms of how you need to shift your mindset, that really comes down to the person. But the point is, you need to change your money mindset. And small wins, those are going to build as a habit. And habits matter more than anything, especially at first, because like money and like returns on investment in habits, all of this compounding works in all aspects of your life. So that does it for today's episode on what you need to do if you can't save money. At this point, you all know how to get a hold of me. There's a multitude of ways, and you'll hear it in the closeout of today's episode. So as always, I'm your host, Christopher A. Panayiotou, certified financial planning professional, the Cap in Capitalize. And until next time, keep capitalizing. Take care. As always, thank you for joining me today. If you have questions about today's episode or any personal finance questions, please reach out to me at Cap and Capitalize on Instagram, Chris at capitalizeyourfinances.com, or via our website, capitalizepodcast.com. If you want more Capitalize Your Finances content, head on over to capitalizepodcast.com and check out our blog, free resources, book, and online course. As always, I'm your host, Christopher A. Panayiotou, certified financial planning professional, the Cap and Capitalize. And until next time, keep capitalizing.
Content in this material is for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All investments involve risk, including potential loss of principal. You should always seek counsel of the appropriate advisor prior to making any investment decision. Christopher Panayiotou is a registered representative with and securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Capitalize Your Finances LLC is a separate entity from LPL Financial. Capitalize Your Finances is not registered as a broker-dealer or investment advisor. CRPS conferred by College for Financial Planning.